Today we're summarizing the novel To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. The story begins with Scout Finch, a young girl in the small town of Maycomb, Alabama. And he says that I was born good, but grow progressively worse each year. Scout's father, Atticus Finch, is a respected and well-known lawyer, and her brother Jem is her constant companion. After their mother dies, Calpurnia, the Finch family housekeeper, steps in to help raise the children. The duo befriend Dill, a curious and adventurous boy who's visiting Maycomb for the summer. "My name is Charles Baker Harris, and I can read, but you can call me Dill." Dill quickly becomes obsessed with the Radley house, home to Boo Radley, a mysterious and reclusive figure who has become the subject of countless rumors. Dill convinces Jem to touch the house. "I'll swap you the gray ghost if you touch it." Scout believes she sees a figure watching them from behind the shutter. Later, Scout is excited to start school, but her enthusiasm quickly fades. "I don't think I'll go to school anymore, Atticus, if that's all right with you." Scout doesn't get along with her teacher, Miss Caroline, and things get a little awkward when she invites Walter Cunningham home for dinner. Scout is shocked by how Walter eats and is reprimanded by Calpurnia for her lack of hospitality. "He ain't company, he's just a Cunningham." At school, Scout's disillusionment deepens when a boy named Burris Ewell behaves the way that highlights the stark division in Maycomb's social classes. Scout asks Atticus if he can teach her instead of going to school, but he refuses, promising instead to continue reading to her. "It works this way. If you'll concede the necessity of going to school, we'll go on reading every night, just as we always have. Is it a bargain?" When summer arrives, Dill comes back to Maycomb, and the children resume their fascination with Boo Radley. They even try sneaking up to the house to try and get him a message, but when Nathan Radley fires a shotgun at them, they scamper back home. "Over the fence by the schoolyard. Hurry, Scout!" Jem loses his pants in the process, but when he goes back to retrieve them later that night, he finds them poorly patched and hanging across the fence. Scout and Jem are living their best small-town lives, wandering home from school when they start finding little treasures in a tree knothole. "Listen, let's leave 'em and wait a couple of days. If they ain't gone then, we'll take 'em, okay?" A little weird, a little mysterious, Jem suspects it's Boo Radley's subtle way of reaching out. Then, winter hits Maycomb hard, and it actually snows. In Alabama. The kids make a snowman that looks so much like Mr. Avery that Atticus insists they edit it. "You've perpetrated a near libel here in the front yard. We've got to disguise this fellow." That same night, Miss Maudie's house catches on fire, and in the chaos, someone wraps a blanket around Scout. Later, they piece it together. Boo Radley again. "You were so busy looking at the fire, you didn't see it when he put the blanket around you." Meanwhile, the town's prejudice rears its ugly head. Scout's classmate throws a slur at her because Atticus is defending Tom Robinson, a black man accused of raping a white girl. Atticus, as calm as ever, tells Scout that justice is a long shot with an all-white jury. "Simply because we were licked 100 years before we started is no reason for us not to try to win." Just when the children think that they know their father, he surprises them by shooting a rabid dog from a good distance away. They find out that when he was younger, his nickname was One-Shot Finch. But Mrs. Dubose, a thorny neighbor, digs at Atticus's reputation, pushing Jem too far. He wrecks her camellias in a fit of rage. "Jem, what did you do?" "I don't care. I'd do it again if I got the chance." Afterward, his punishment is reading to her every day, only to find out later she was fighting a losing battle with morphine addiction. When she dies, she leaves him a camellia. Jem starts pulling away from Scout, telling her to act more girly, which understandably stings. "I swear, Scout, sometimes you act so much like a girl, it's mortifying." Then they get a glimpse into Calpurnia's world when she takes him to church. where they learn that Tom Robinson's accuser is none other than Bob Ewell, Beerus Ewell's dad from school. Old Mr. Bob Ewell accused him of raping his girl and had him arrested and put in jail. Returning home, they are surprised by Aunt Alexandra, who has decided that the children need a feminine influence, a move that leaves Scout baffled, especially when Atticus tries and fails to reinforce Alexandra's family pride pep talk. She wants to talk to you about the family and what it's meant to Maycomb through the years, to give you some idea of who you are, so you might be moved to behave accordingly. With Tom's trial looming, the town's gossip about Atticus defending a black man heats up, putting Scout and Jem in the line of fire.
Your father's no better than the trash he works for.
One night, Scout finds Dill hiding under the bed on the run from home, adding mystery to the mix. Finally, the trial begins. Scout, Jem, and Dill sneak onto the balcony to watch as Bob Ewell testifies, spinning a tale about finding Tom assaulting his daughter.
I seen that black man yonder assaulting on my Mayella.
Atticus dismantles his story, bit by bit, especially when he gets Bob to write his name, revealing he's left-handed. A crucial detail given the location of Mayella's injuries, hinting at the truth which the town isn't ready to face. Atticus's cross-examination of Mayella is intense, but ultimately she breaks down, screaming at the jury to just convict Tom Robinson and refusing to answer any more questions.
That man yonder took advantage of me, and if you fine fancy gentlemen don't want to do nothing about it, then you're all yellow stinking cowards.
Tom testifies, giving a different story. He helped Mayella with chores out of kindness, and on that night she tried to kiss him. When Bob Ewell caught them, Tom fled, fearing for his life, as Bob screamed threats at Mayella.
Mr. Finch, I was running so fast I didn't know what happened.
Meanwhile, Dill is so shaken by the trial's cruelty that Scout takes him outside for a breather.
It ain't right. Somehow it ain't right to do him that way.
There they meet a man named Dolphus Raymond, a man who pretends to be a drunk to justify his unconventional friendships with black people. Back in court, Atticus's closing argument is impassioned, but when the jury returns, it's with a guilty verdict, crushing the children's hope for justice.
It ain't right, Atticus.
No, son, it's not right. Miss Maudie later invites them over, explaining to an angry Jem that Judge Taylor appointed Atticus specifically to give Tom a real defense, and that the unusually long jury deliberation is actually a small but significant sign of progress. After the trial, Bob Ewell threatens Atticus. Atticus tries to reassure the family, but tensions remain as Atticus and Jem discuss Alabama's harsh realities. In our courts, when it's a white man's word against a black man's, the white man's word always wins. They're ugly, but those are the facts of life. Then, devastating news hits. Tom Robinson was shot and killed trying to escape prison. Maycomb is left buzzing, with a local editorial boldly condemning his death as a tragic injustice. It's a sin to kill cripples, just like the senseless slaughter of songbirds by hunters and children. As Scout returns to school, the trial's impact still looms, especially with Bob Ewell out of a job and blaming Atticus for his problems.
That damn Atticus stole my job right out from under me.
His harassment even extends to following Tom's widow and whispering obscenities at her. This intensifies Aunt Alexandra's belief that Bob has it out for everyone connected with the trial. Halloween arrives, and with it, a town-sponsored pageant at the school. After Halloween, Scout and Jem are walking home from the pageant in the dark when they're suddenly attacked by someone Scout can't see because of her costume.
Run, Scout, run!
There is a fierce struggle. Suddenly, their attacker is mysteriously pulled off, and a dazed Scout watches as a mysterious man carries Jem home. Back at the house, Heck Tate, the sheriff, comes by, and Scout learns the truth. Bob Ewell's lying on the ground under that tree down yonder with a kitchen knife stuck up under his ribs. He's dead, Mr. Finch. The mysterious man who saved them is Boo Radley himself. The sheriff insists that they keep Boo's role in Bob's death quiet. He believes dragging Boo into the spotlight would only cause him harm. Mr. Finch, taking the one man who's done you and this town a great service and dragging him with his shy ways into the limelight? To me, that's a sin. As Boo walks Scout home, she finally sees her neighborhood through his eyes. She realizes the world looks different when you stand in someone else's shoes, even someone as elusive as Boo Radley. Atticus was right. Just standing on the Radleys' front porch was enough to see things from Boo's point of view. Scout goes home and falls asleep while Atticus reads her a scary story. The end.